Shalom, 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 saints, and future subscribers of AOSD CHANDLER, Assembly of Sound Doctrine, located on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment, hit the bell. You can also find me on TikTok, KINGDONEL. You can find me on Clubhouse, Assembly Sound Doctrine, as well as RPK University. If you got time, go to some of the other YouTube channels, RPK-Resurrection Prophecy and Kingdom, as well as Garden Ministries. Tonight, we're going to unearth another subject, death being swallowed up. See, a lot of people in the 21st century, in the Western world, as well as the Eastern world, is waiting on Christ to come back and defeat death and make death be swallowed up and etc. Let's find out what this is truly about. Making death be swallowed up. Let's go back to where it started. Genesis 2, verse 17 and following. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. So we have death being introduced via eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So this is the first death that the Messiah, this is the first death that the Word, who is the Messiah, brought to the nature of mankind, saying, if you partake of this tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is full of the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, the things of the world, which the Lord has no dealings with. If you partake of that fruit, being self-righteous, prideful, and etc., what that fruit produces, murderers and all of those other things, idolaters, blasphemers. If you partake of that tree, you will surely die to death. And let's find out what mankind's response to the Lord's commandment of not eating from that tree is or was. Genesis 3 and 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired, to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So now mankind has failed the temptation. They have drowned into the temptation, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, which represents love of the world. This is enigmatic talk, what's going on in Genesis 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Since mankind decided to be in a different state than that spiritual godly state, that state of faith, since mankind now wanted to be in that state of wisdom, a different type of wisdom that wasn't meant for them. We can see the prideful people like Nimrod and what's happening in Daniel with the one that exalted himself like the king. Exalted himself above God. You can see it happening again in the book of Revelation, the mystery of iniquity. This man is very prideful, who's putting himself in the place of God, aka eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, wanting to be like God. When they partook of the fruit, which enigmatically represents partaking in the nature and the actions thereof, when they partook of the fruit and the actions thereof of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, trying to be like the God, the Most High, and the Word, this is what happened. Genesis 3:22. And the Lord God said, behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand, and take also of the tree of life, and eat, and live forever. Therefore the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. Since mankind wanted the fruit of the world, the Lord sent them out of his presence. And they enter into a presence outside of the Most High, which is considered death. They enter into a presence where death reigned, where curses reign, when distress, oppression, depression reigned. We get to Isaiah 25 and 1. O Lord, thou art my God. That's a new covenant promise. O Lord, thou art my God. I will exalt thee. I will praise thy name, for thou hast done wonderful things. Thy counsels of old are faithfulness and truth. Oh, I'm going to exalt the Lord and not myself. I don't want to be like God, knowing good and evil. I'm going to exalt the Lord and be like myself. And exalt thee. In my flesh, I will exalt the Lord. Sorry, I messed up a little bit, but let's keep flowing. Exalt thee and not myself. So, verse 2, for thou hast made of a city an heap, of a defense city a ruin, a palace of strangers to be no city. It shall never be built. Thou hast had judgment. Thou hast proven that thou art God. Verse 3, therefore shall the strong people glorify thee. The city of the terrible nations shall fear thee. For thou hast been a strength to the poor, a strength to the needy in his distress, a refuge from the storm, a shelter from the heat, when the blast of the terrible ones is as a storm against a wall. Strong people recognize the Lord. The weak people recognize the Lord. The Lord has sheltered the poor people, the one that society overlooked. Let's keep going. Verse 7, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. So when all nations, all people acknowledge the Lord, then he was going to destroy the face of the covering cast or the veil that was spread over all nations. We found out in the beginning that was the love for the tree of knowledge of good and evil, wanted to be like God. Now they're exalting God and taking themselves out the way, allowing him to destroy that veil. What was the veil that came with the tree of knowledge of good and evil over all mankind? Verse 8, he will swallow up death in victory, and the Lord will wipe away all tears from all faces, and the rebuke of his people shall he take away from all the earth, for the Lord has spoken it. The veil is death that was swallowed up, and the veil that spread over was death that spread over all people. It was promised to be swallowed up once the Lord became exalted and acknowledged. He will wipe away all tears from their eyes. That means that he's close to them. Like in the Garden of Eden, he sent them out. Now these people are back with him. Paul speaks on this, 1 Corinthians 15:52. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Verse 54. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. Isaiah explains this happens after the judgment. Now the Lord is exalted, and when the Lord is exalted, then the covering cast will be destroyed. Death will be swallowed up. He will be with his people. They will be his people. He will be their God. In Revelation 20 and 14, and death and hell was cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Outcome in the next chapter. Revelation 21:3, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I'll make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. Notice, death is passed away. He makes all things new. Now he's their God. They're his people. He's in their proximity. While he's their God, they can't die no more. Like what happened in the Garden of Eden when he pushed them out. Now the Lord has brought the Garden of Eden to his people. There's going to be no more death. He's going to be their God. Why? Jeremiah 31:34. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor or every man his brother, saying, know the Lord. For they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, said the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. This is all new covenant promise. Death reigned in the old covenant. So there was going to be a new covenant that came around based off of the tree of life, based off the fruits of the Spirit, based off of the kingdom of heaven. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Everlasting life, death is taken away. No more death. subscribe to the channel.